You walk away from a conversation feeling entirely isolated. Your head is spinning, you actively question your memory, wondering if your reactions are valid. That heavy sense of doubt usually follows a specific set of phrases. Someone tells you that you are too sensitive, or they accuse you of overreacting to a completely normal situation. To understand why this happens, we have to look at how influence works. This flowchart visualizes standard psychological manipulation. An external force uses guilt, flattery, or coercion to push you into taking an action you initially resisted. Gaslighting, however, warps the very ground you stand on. It targets your foundational sense of reality and sanity. We get the term from a 1938 play where a husband secretly dims the gas lamps in his home. When his wife points out the fading light, he insists she is hallucinating. That cinematic deception mirrors how the tactic functions today. The abuser's primary goal is to keep the victim in the dark about the abuse itself. These psychological tactics are hardest to fight when they remain unnamed. To stop the disorientation, we have to look at the specific rules the abuser is following. This behavior follows a calculated playbook designed for plausible deniability. The first tactic in that playbook is trivializing. It relies heavily on dismissive phrases, like telling you that you are too sensitive or that you just can't take a joke. The psychological logic here is highly effective. By making your emotional reaction the central problem, the abuser smoothly deflects any responsibility for their cruel or inappropriate action. Over time, this conditioning takes a heavy toll. To avoid being repeatedly labeled as irrational or dramatic, you learn to police your own emotions and bury your genuine feelings. Through constant repetition, trivializing neutralizes your defenses. It turns your completely valid responses into a fabricated character flaw. Once your emotional reactions are discredited, the abuser moves to distorting external facts. This is flat denial, often delivered with total conviction. That never happened, or you're remembering it wrong. This tactic escalates into countering. The abuser fabricates an invisible jury, slowly surrounding you with the claim that everyone else thinks you're crazy. By attacking your memory and social standing, the abuser preys on a deeply rooted human fear of rejection and isolation. The ultimate psychological goal of this pressure is exhaustion. They systematically chip away at your confidence until you voluntarily surrender your own memory of events. Without an independent perception of truth, you are left with no choice but to rely entirely on the abuser's fabricated version of reality. The third major tactic involves blame shifting, arriving in the form of a highly toxic faux apology. "I'm sorry you feel that way." The phrase sounds conciliatory, but it is completely empty. It shifts the focus exclusively onto your perception of the event, allowing the abuser to take zero accountability for the action that actually caused the hurt. This tactic escalates by disguising control as genuine care. The abuser will justify invasive or critical behavior by claiming, "I only did it because I care about you." This is a particularly difficult trap to escape. If you object to the controlling behavior, the abuser instantly frames you as ungrateful or accuses you of rejecting their love. Blame shifting weaponizes your natural desire for connection. It twists the foundational concept of love into a highly effective mechanism for unchallenged control. To break out of this cycle, we have to look past the victim's perceived flaws and examine the hidden psychological reality of the abuser. Gaslighting tactics are frequently deployed by individuals exhibiting narcissistic traits. As this animation shows, an imposing, impenetrable exterior often serves as a shield. When it cracks open, it reveals an incredibly fragile core driven by a deep fear of vulnerability. Because the abuser's primary attack is against your memory, your ultimate defense mechanism is documentation. You can gather evidence in secure ways, keep a secret diary of events, record voice memos on your phone immediately after an incident, or confide in a trusted external friend who can act as an objective witness. Bringing in external, verifiable evidence is the only way to successfully break the closed loop of the abuser's distorted reality. Recognizing these tactics provides a psychological self-defense. By identifying the rules of the playbook, you can begin the process of opting out and reclaiming your own inner voice. You cannot control what a manipulator says to you, but you can control how you respond. Today we are walking through a 5-step actionable defense plan to shut down the manipulation the moment it starts. To execute this plan, you need one of two things ready right now: a secure physical notebook hidden away or a password-protected note app on your phone. The abuser wants you to rely on their version of events. Recognizing the tactic and making the active choice to trust your own mind is your first move toward taking your reality back. Step 1. Identify the alarm. Before your brain realizes you're being manipulated, your nervous system knows. The vagus nerve connects your brain and gut, acting as a threat detector. During gaslighting, this alarm trips, causing a tight chest, racing heart, or a frantic urge to over-apologize. Listen for the verbal triggers that usually accompany these physical feelings. The manipulator will say things like, "You're too sensitive," or claim, "That never happened." That spike in physical anxiety and mental fog is the intended result of their words. It is a feature of the abuse, designed to make you compliant. It is not a flaw in your memory. Step 2 is deploying the pivot. Once the alarm sounds in your body, you must follow one critical rule: never attempt to argue, convince, or prove your reality to the person gaslighting you. Arguing requires you to debate what is real. That gives them the exact opening they need to twist your words, draining your energy and pulling you deeper into their false narrative. Instead, shut the conversation down completely. Say this exact phrase: "We remember things differently, and I don't want to argue about it." If they escalate by directly insulting your intelligence or sanity, switch to a firmer boundary. "Please don't question my ability to think clearly." Immediately after delivering your line, remove yourself. Break eye contact, turn your back, and walk out of the room. Do not wait for their response. Gaslighting requires a target. By removing your physical presence and refusing to engage, you starve the gaslighter of the engagement they need to maintain control. Step 3. Secure the evidence. When safely alone, use a password-protected app to record the exact date, time, location, and direct quotes while fresh. Do not, under any circumstances, show this documentation to the gaslighter to prove your point. They will simply weaponize the evidence against you. The purpose of this log is for your eyes only, and acts as an unchangeable anchor. Days or weeks later, when they try to tell you an event didn't happen, you can look at your notes and verify your own memory. Gathering this evidence is an act of preserving your internal truth. It keeps your mind grounded in reality, free from the exhaustion of external debates. Step 4 is regulation. Walking away from a confrontation triggers an immediate adrenaline crash. Your body will likely be shaking, and an intense wave of self-doubt will try to flood your mind. Force your nervous system to reset. Step outside and feel the breeze on your face. Take slow, deep breaths and recognize that you are safe. As your breathing slows down, repeat this grounding mantra to combat the lingering voices of doubt. "I believe me, and that is enough." Your logical brain cannot function while your body is in fight or flight mode. Calming your biology protects your mind from slipping back into the confusion that the manipulator relies on. Step 5 is anchoring to the outside. A manipulator's goal is to isolate you, making you feel completely alone so that you have no choice but to depend on their version of reality. You defeat this by bringing your secured documentation to a trusted, neutral third party, someone who exists entirely outside the dynamic of your relationship. Share the facts. Hearing another person validate your experience, confirming the manipulation, and proving you aren't crazy brings immense physiological relief and mental clarity. Pulling in that outside perspective shatters the closed-loop illusion. It reinforces your knowledge that your memory is intact and your perception is accurate. You now have your defense sequence. Identify the alarm in your body, pivot to disengage without arguing, secure the facts in a private note, regulate your nervous system, and anchor to a trusted friend. You cannot force an abuser to change their behavior or admit they are lying. But you hold total authority over your own reality, and you do not need their permission to trust yourself. If you find yourself in an escalating or dangerous situation, professional support is available 24/7. Reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. You are the only author of your experiences. Trusting your own instincts and protecting your peace is your ultimate shield against psychological manipulation.